I have spring fever so stinking bad. We have this beautiful weather and then we got snow and rain. I don't know what's going on, but I know I need the happy, bright, beautiful home decor to help me get through this last little bit of whatever Minnesota weather has going on. So let's get down to it. I went thrifting. I picked up 3 things. I spent $6.23 on these 3 things. Let's see if I can make them look super high end. So these are the 3 items I bought: a little shelf, a little wall pocket, and a little door. I don't even know what it is. So for project number 1, we're going to take that wall pocket, and I am going to be using the cottage color, DIY cottage color white linen. And in this center part of this wall pocket, I am going to be going ahead and I end up doing like 3 coats on this to get pretty good coverage. I want my decoupage paper to really pop off the back of this and not have that metallic look underneath. So I want to make sure that it's nice and white for that, and that just takes a little bit of paint. So while I am painting this, let me introduce myself. My name is Sandra, and I'm the owner and creator here at Midwest Charm. I specialize in repurposed, upcycled, vintage home decor, as well as all of your crafty needs. I carry DIY paint, Sweet Pickins milk paint, Iron Orchid designs, Connie lines and designs, recycled treasures, and more. And you can find me on all the social medias, which are linked in the description below, as well as our website, www.midwestcharm.co. And the products that I am using today can be found there. And there's links for that in the description as well. So once this has completely dried, I'm going to take out one of the recycled papers from Sonnet's Maker's Box. I'm looking for my postcard, you guys, right here. This one is called Weathered Farmhouse Planks, and I'm going to measure this up against my piece and then cut a good chunk of this off. And then I am going to give this paper a good mist because we're going on a curved surface and the curve is angled and not like flat across. It's going to be a little bit more difficult than if this were just straight across. So we do want to wet that paper to really apply this well. And then we're going to start in the middle, not on the end, and apply our decoupage medium, which I am using DIY's liquid patina. And we're going to get that middle part laid down and then do each side by laying down a layer of the decoupage medium. Again, that's DIY's liquid patina and crystal clear chandelier. And then we're going to go over the top of it with the same product and then set this aside to dry. And then on the other side, I'm going to do the same exact process and just kind of have to, with it being wet, I've got a little bit more wiggle to my paper, which will allow me to manipulate it a bit more. And we're going to go ahead and just make sure that that's all lined up with the lines that are on the tin rather than just letting this fall where it may. And it's a fairly easy process, and we get this on there nice and smooth. And then once it's completely dry, I do take one of my finger sanders and sand off the edges. I don't think I got that part on video. So while I'm doing this, I'm trying to decide exactly what it is I want to do on this little bucket. I am working my way through my stash of transfers. I have a huge basket full of them that I don't have all of the parts used. So I am actually going to take out my wild bloomin' and pull out some more of these pieces. And I pulled out what I have left and kind of went through them. And I decided I really want these birds on there. And I'm going to make sure that the branch behind them starts and ends at that same line where my decoupage paper is. And then I do want some floral in there. And then to offset those birds, I'm going to add a butterfly. Now, transfers are super easy to use. Each one of them comes with a little plastic rub-on tool. And what you're going to do is remove the backer, place the item where you want it to go, and then take that tool and rub it down. And you will see it go from this colorful piece to a little bit more muted and I don't know how to word it, but you can tell when it has been removed, and then you'll see me lift up the end and pull that up as I am continuing to rub. If a piece of this doesn't lay down, it's very easy to fix. You can just go ahead and place that top layer, the grid part, back down and rub again and then lift, and it should stay down. You just keep doing that until it is down. And then we're going to repeat this process with our little birds and with the butterfly as well. Transfers do need to be sealed in, so I will go in after I have these all done with more of the liquid patina, and I'm going to put that over the entire front of this, including the metal part, because one, I have transfers on there, and two, I wanted to have the same sheen on that bottom part where that transfer goes down, and the top part, I want those two strips of metal to match. Now here I am lining up these stems on this tree so it doesn't look like it's floating. It looks like it's part of that center part there. And we're going to apply these down. Now with Sonnet's Maker's Box, you get 2 exclusive papers from Recycled Treasures. You get 2 exclusive papers from the Painted Photographer, and then you get 2 DIY paints, sample sizes, and 2 sample size fusion paints, and a sample size of Sweet Pickins milk paint. Sonnet always includes a fun napkin in there for decoupaging as well, and she now offers her digital press, which you can print off at your own leisure and use. And then, of course, you also get a video from her, an unboxing video from her as well. Plus, her whole creative team, including me, does a video for you guys for inspiration. So make sure you are checking all that out below. I do have all that linked as well. And here you can see I'm going in with that butterfly. I debated on a couple of them, but I wanted to make sure that the size was right because some of them were just too big and or too small. So this one, the sizing was right, the color was right, and I really liked it. This is going to be so great to put floral in. I have just greenery in this at the end, which reminds me, stay tuned to the very end so you can see all of these pieces staged up. They turned out beautiful. Let's move on to project number 2. I found this little wood shelf. It was super cheap, you guys. Everything was $3 or under. This was $2.99. And I'm just removing the tag here with the heat gun. When you have tags stuck on them, a heat gun, you'll see it kind of bubble up and lift up. Just stop putting the heat on it and go ahead and peel that off. They always come off really easy at that point. And then we're just going to pry up the back of this. This has a little framed piece of art in there that I am not crazy about. I believe it's apples. And I knew immediately when I saw this, this needed a paper for it. So what I'm going to do is take the piece, the inset piece, that art piece, and use that for my pattern. This glass was really disgustingly dirty, so I did not use that for my pattern. I ended up just using the little apple piece. And what we're going to do is put that over our recycled decoupage paper to decide exactly which part of it we want to use. But first, I already know I'm going to use milk paint on this little shelf. And because this is a raw wood and I want to get crackle, I'm going to do a trick that Connie from the Painted Photographer taught me. And that is to take our extra bond from Sweet Pickins milk paint and paint a layer of it over this and let it dry. So I'm going to do that, and then we're going to figure out exactly how we're going to go ahead and put in our piece. So we're going to be using the Mercantile Sweet Pickins milk paint on this. And again, I don't know if I linked the extra bond below, but it is available on the website as well. So this goes on very smooth. It kind of smells like a glue. And what you can do is use this as your base, which will allow it to crackle up, or you can use this inside of the actual mixture of paint, and then you will get less chipping with it and more of just the crackle. But it really helps adhere that paint if it's mixed in with it. This just gives me the most perfect crackle. I can't wait for you guys to see it all. And you can see I'm just doing a nice thin coat. And then we are going to be taking out the garden on the scales decoupage paper. Y'all, I didn't even use a single scale off of this, and I'm obsessed with this paper and I cannot wait. So watch next week. I am going to be using some of these because I adore them. They are so pretty. But I decided for this piece I wanted to do like part of the text in there. And I was just trying to decide which piece would fit the best without cutting off the most of the scale because I really, really love these flowers and I didn't want to ruin them. So I kind of play around with this, and once I have exactly the piece I'm going to use, I'm going to just use my thumb to trace where I need to cut instead of drawing lines on there. I just don't want to mess with possibly poking it through or having either pen or pencil show through either. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my thumb to mark out where I want it cut. And then we are just going to go ahead and cut that with a pair of scissors. Aren't the scales on this just fabulous? And then there's a paper by Connie that I didn't show either that is called Balanced Beginnings, and it's a scale as well. You guys, it's got a bird's nest on it. It is beautiful, but I did not have the right piece for it. And when we went thrifting, we determined that if I'm not going to flip it right away, I don't need to buy it. So I knew that these three pieces, I would have something in Sonnet's box that would make these absolutely stunning. So that's what I went with. And then right here, we're going to take that same little piece of art and I'm going to decoupage this to the back of it for a couple reasons. One, gives it a little bit extra strength. Two, it's got a white background and I don't need to paint anything. And three, if somebody should happen to really like those apples and not what I did to it, they can just flip this right around and go ahead and use the apples. So this is just like any other decoupage product. I am going to place the strip of decoupage medium, place my paper down, smooth it, and then go over the top. And here we are mixing our milk paint. We're going to be using equal parts water to equal parts of the Mercantile Sweet Pickins milk paint. And then we're just going to get this all stirred up. Let it sit for a good 10 minutes. It'll do two things for you. It will thicken up and it will also absorb all of those pigments. And this color is a really beautiful light gray. It's one of my favorite grays to use for the milk paint. And look at this. We have one coat on here. I somehow lost the footage of the first coat, but you guys, let me tell you that first coat can sometimes be scary and ugly and just keep going. Make sure you let it dry fully in between and you can see here I am hitting it with a heat gun. I almost always use a heat gun when I am using milk paint. I just happen to think that it helps produce more crackle in shipping, and that's what I'm going for when I use milk paint. I love that look. If you don't like that look or like less of it, just don't use the heat gun and let it dry naturally. So we're going to go ahead and let this dry, and then we're going to add a second coat, and this just took two coats. I had decent coverage, but you can see there on the top, you can definitely still see wood underneath, and this here, the second coat, look at that. It is so gorgeous. I love, love, love this color, and I love the final look that I get with this paint. So milk paint can be unpredictable. You need to really play with it and get to know it. And once you do, I guarantee you will be obsessed. It is so good. And let me tell you, there is no paint that gets smoother than milk paint when you sand it. It's like butter. It is amazing. And then Sweet Pickins has multiple ways you can seal up your milk paint. You can use a polyacrylic type top coat. Sweet Pickins has matte satin and the really shiny one, and I can't think of what it's called right now, and I'm not in my work area. They also have oil waxes and then their regular beeswax. Their beeswax smells amazing. It is heavenly. I love using it. My whole room smells amazing. It works really great on like drawers that need that wood that needs that extra little oomph. So I highly recommend that. But I will be honest, my favorite is their oil waxes, and they have dark, white, black, and clear. I rarely use the black, but I definitely use the dark all the time. It is my absolute favorite. And then followed up with the white and then the clear. Those are my favorite ways to seal this up. And for that, you're going to let your piece dry completely, and then you're going to just pour some in a little cup and then apply it, let it sit on there and absorb into that paint. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. So let's finish getting this painted up. And then we're going to sand this down. So I'm going to sand this to remove any loose chips, to distress in areas I didn't think I got enough distressing on. And I am sorry for shaking the camera here. I apologize for that. And then we are going to also just really smooth that out and give it that beautiful buttery feel that you get from sanding milk paint. And this is fairly easy to distress. You can see I'm going pretty hard, but I'll be honest, I only have like a 220 grit sandpaper on my little finger sander right now, and I wish I had switched it out to like a 180. So I am just going to go ahead and make sure that I'm distressing any edges. I'm going to remove any of those chunks and any of the loose chippy paint. And my camera shifted at one point here, and I apologize, I didn't catch it until later on. You can see the gorgeous, amazing crackle and chipping that I got, you guys. It's so good. It is so good. I wish you could see and feel this all in person because it's amazing. And we are just gonna go ahead and get all this done, and we will get this all sealed up. I do flip this over on the back and sand off any of the paint that got through on the back. You'll see it kind of gets a little drippy because it is a little bit more runny than your regular run-of-the-mill paint, especially like your DIY paint, which is extra thick. I did get some chippiness on the top and a little bit on the sides and more crackle everywhere else. And it was good crackle. But here we are just tidying up the back of this piece, and I do go over it with a little bit of the oil wax as well, just to give it a really great color and feel. And here we are. Shake up your oil wax. This does have a smell to it. It's not overwhelming. I find it totally fine to use inside. I have pets, the works, and I'm not worried about them at all while I'm doing this. And then I just apply this with a brush. I use the same brush. This one, I should have worked the brush a little bit more in the beginning to get it softened up, but it does soften up as I'm going along here and makes it a little bit easier to apply. I'm making sure to really get this into all of those nooks and crannies and make sure all of the places have a really good coat of this. And again, if you don't like the look that this gives, there are plenty of options that you can do instead to seal up your milk paint. This just happens to be my favorite. Now, when removing this milk or this oil wax, I do use shop towels, and you are going to want to use two of them. And you'll see me here, even while applying, I'm using one because when you are using this, if you leave your fingerprint in that and you don't touch it up, it can like permanently leave your fingerprint in there. So you want to make sure that you are holding it with one shop towel and rubbing it with the other. You will see I keep switching where I'm rubbing so I get a dry part of my cloth, because you want to make sure to remove as much of that wax as possible. This gives your piece a really nice, solid, hard finish. Again, it's my favorite. I have nothing bad to say about this sealer at all. I use it all the time. It's amazing. And once again, you guys hang out to the very end so you can see the final results. And let's get this baby put back together. I cleaned up that glass because it was grimy. And then I just kind of have to work around these little prongs to get it placed back in there. And then we are going to layer everything back in. So we are going to layer that piece that has our decoupage piece on there, and I'm trimming off the excess right here. And then we are going to put in the backer and then push all those prongs down. And this baby is totally ready to be hung up. I am so happy with the final result of this, you guys. I can't wait for you to see the final shots. It's so stinking good. So project number 3 is this little door thing. I don't know. It is old. It's really old based off of the mirror that's on the top part. And then the glass that's in the bottom was just in with a piece of cardboard. So I'm going to remove that cardboard. We're going to use that for our template to measure out our decoupage paper. The glass does not come out. It actually has little quarter rounds, little teeny tiny quarter rounds in there holding the glass and the mirror in place. So I'm just cleaning up what I can with my little razor here, and then I wash it up really good with wipe after this. And then on the top on the mirror, there was a good scratch in there. And to help protect that a little bit more, I did go over that with some little black dress by DIY just to have the consistent back color. I don't know how to word it. So we're going to be using that same decoupage paper that we used in our first project, the weathered farmhouse planks, and we are going to cut it out, and then I'm going to use Connie's paper early snowdrop and use a paintbrush and some water and go around the yellow part on this little 3-up piece here, and we're going to use the water to help us cut out our piece. So with this, you just get it wet and then you can just use your finger and tear it, and it gives it a really nice organic look to it. And this actually goes really well with the yellow background right there. I love how this looks. So we're also going to be using that cottage color in white linen and painting the back of this piece because I'm going to be decoupaging this onto the weathered farmhouse planks piece, and I want to make sure that you don't see that wood coming through our beautiful floral. And while that's all drying, we are going to go in with the DIY cake batter. If you have followed me for any length of time, you know I adore this color. It is beautiful. It goes so well for all the seasons. It's one of my favorites. I'm not gonna lie. I use it all the stinking time. And you can really alter the color for the season you want with the different waxes you use. You can use dark waxes and white wax or just seal this up plain and it's vibrant. The only thing is you guys, when you're painting this, it almost looks like it's see-through. Like when we have this first coat and it's wet, you're like thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't get any coverage. And then it dries and you're like, oh. So then that second coat is key because this only took 2 coats. I know from looking at this, you're like, whatever, but trust me, it just took 2 coats. Once this dries, and I try to show you, I think I have a clip of me drying it with the heat gun. And as I'm drying it, you can see it turn to that nice, solid, pigmented, beautiful DIY paint we all know and love. And I did not tape off our mirror or the glass because I know I can take a baby wipe and clean this up. And if worse comes to worse in those corners, I can just use my little flat razor there on the table and get these cleaned up with no problem. So this is going to take 2 coats, like I mentioned, and I do hit this with that heat gun to really show you how great it looks once we have that dried. And you can almost like see it before your eyes. It's solid and it's beautiful and we have good coverage. I just want better coverage. Even though I'm going to just stretch this, I do want some better coverage in the spots where I'm not distressing at. So then we're going to just go in with that second coat. And here we are. I'm trying to decide which way I want to have the boards go in the background. And I do end up decoupaging that down onto that backer piece. I just didn't do it until after I applied the floral on. I thought I could leave it and it just didn't work out so well. So I'm going to go in with that liquid patina and put it all over the back of this little piece. Remember, we've painted that back with the white linen, which has a top coat in it. So, I mean, there was no reason for it other than I really want this to pop and not show that wood. Then we're going to go back over the top of this with that decoupage medium. And we are also going to decoupage the wood planks down onto that thin piece of tag board too. Then we're going to go in with that baby wipe and we are going to go ahead and clean up that glass, clean up that mirror, and we're also going to use that same baby wipe to distress on all of the edges and all of the details of this little door so that it's not quite so flat. I want it to have like depth and layers almost. So we're gonna also clean off the hardware. I did kind of get some paint on that. And again, this is so easy to wet distress that it took me no time to just wipe that excess paint off. We are gonna clean up this back and sand off any of that excess. But I'm also going to be covering this back when it's all said and done with a piece of real thick cardstock. But in the meantime, I want to make sure that this backside is nice and clean for me to be able to do that. Here we are going in with DIY's clear wax and we're going to get a good coat on this. And before we wipe this off, we are actually going to be taking out the DIY decrepit dust and using that on this piece as well. I'll be honest, I'm out of dark wax right now. I was like, well, I really wanted to grunge this up just a bit to make it really show its age. So I used that instead of the dark wax. So it turns out beautiful. You can see again, I am not taping off that mirror or the glass because it's not necessary. So in the corners, I'm adding directly the dark dust, and then I just kind of tap my brush over the rest of it so it kind of leaves nice little speckles in there. And then I'm going to use between the brush and my shop towels, I'm going to go through and kind of move that dust around, and you can kind of see I'm stippling it in spots and you just to make it have the look that I was really going for. Then I'm going to buff it off and then I'm going to use that same brush without cleaning it off and kind of go back over with more of a stippling motion. And here we go, you guys. Our final projects. I am so excited to share these. So I'm going to show you really quick what we started with. These 3 pieces for $6.23. And then we're going to show you our final outcome. And I couldn't be happier. I really am going to go get some yellow flowers to put in that bucket so that this vignette just all ties together. This would look great, great, great on a gallery wall. I'm so happy with these pieces and I can't wait to hear your thoughts on them as well. What do you think? How did my projects turn out? Which one was your favorite? I can't wait to hear. Thank you for watching. I always appreciate it. Make sure to hit that like button if you like this type of content. Subscribe, all the things. It really helps my small business. And we will see you all next time. Bye.